As of this recording, we're halfway into the new year, and that means we are officially halfway into Jonathan Hickman's Ultimate Universe. I remember learning about this universe after walking into my local comic book shop and seeing the one-shot titled Ultimate Universe by Jonathan Hickman. The issue is meant to act as a setup for what would become our Avengers team, or the Ultimates as they are referred to here, and their main objective of changing the world the way it was meant to be before the Maker took over. I was already a fan of Hickman's work through reading his Krakoa saga as well as his Secret Wars saga. Hearing that Hickman was working on his own universe left me intrigued yet cautious. If you're familiar with Marvel Comics, you know of the previous Ultimate Universe that was spawned off of Brian Michael Bendis' Ultimate Spider-Man. You would also know that that world did not end so well. So, while I was interested in seeing what Hickman's universe had to offer, I did enter with a bit of caution. Thankfully, after reading most of what the Ultimate Universe had offered, as well as catching up on Ultimate Invasion, I'm excited to talk about what I've seen and what could come in its future. Right now, there are 4 series currently running under the Ultimate Universe. First, we have Ultimate Spider-Man by Jonathan Hickman with art by Marco Checchetto, currently at 7 issues. Then we have Ultimate X-Men written and drawn by Peach Momoko, currently at 5 issues. Next is Ultimate Black Panther by Brian Hill with art by Stefano Caselli, currently at 6 issues, and finally The Ultimates written by Dennis Camp with art by Juan Frigeri, currently at 2 issues. Not counting Ultimate Invasion or the one-shot, that makes 20 issues of world building by 4 different authors, and so far, there are no major errors or lapse of continuity. The universe feels coherent and well built. Hickman lays the groundwork for him and others to follow, and is done so beautifully. I should start with the world building. The Maker, an evil version of Reed Richards from the previous Ultimate Universe, attempted to go back home to his original universe in the events of Ultimate Invasion. This results in him entering Earth 6160, a world very different from his own and the standard Earth 616. Here, the Maker tries to change the world into an image he feels comfortable in, as in a world without heroes. This results in some of our favorite heroes either turning evil and joining the Maker in a secret shadow organization, or not having become heroes at all. It's here that we notice just how different Hickman is making the Ultimate Universe, starting with making Howard Stark the Iron Man of this Earth. By the end of Ultimate Invasion, Howard Stark confronts the Maker and a variation of Kang the Conqueror with an armor very similar to that of an Iron Man suit, and traps the both of them along with himself in the Maker's base known as the City. He gets help from this Earth's Reed Richards, who goes by the name Doom with a costume very similar to Doom 2099. We find out later in the Ultimate Universe one-shot that Sue Storm, Johnny, and Ben Grimm have all sadly passed away. Reed goes to Tony, who creates his own Iron Man suit and goes by the name Iron Lad with the hopes of stopping the Maker when the city opens back up again. This all goes into Dennis Camp's The Ultimates, which launched back in June. Only 2 issues in, and I haven't been this hooked to a book in a long while. It's clear that this series is the main book of the Ultimate Universe. All the other books tell wonderful stories, but this treats itself with the importance that a story like this deserves, not wasting a single panel. Everything hits. It's through this book that you realize just how far the Maker is willing to go for his own goals. In the first issue, the Ultimates seek out Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne, known as Ant-Man and the Wasp. Instead of being a world-renowned scientist like his Earth 616 self, Hank works as an exterminator along with Janet, which Iron Lad reveals was not what was supposed to happen. He reveals that the accident that gave Hank Pym slight brain damage was actually the result of the Maker. Honestly, that's pretty fucked up. Something I also forgot to mention was that the Ultimates broke into the Maker's vault and grabbed a bunch of things, including the spider that would bite Peter Parker, which was kept in a jar, and files on some of their Earth 616 counterparts, all of which were left by the Maker. Iron Lad sent Pym files on 616 Ant-Man, and upon finding out what he would go on to do, initially refused to join the team due to Hank's insanity and the creation of Ultron. It's a plot point that I really enjoyed they ended up making a part of his character. The geography is also slightly different. I mentioned before that there was a secret organization that worked under the Maker. As a result of the cooperation, the Maker made them the rulers of different nations across the world. Japan, now named Hinokuni, is ruled by Viper from Hydra, the Silver Samurai, and Sunfire. Silver Samurai's design is the only design I call into question, since it just doesn't look as cool as literally everyone else. Then you have Colossus, Magic, and Omega Red, who rule over the Eurasian Republic. They also changed it so Omega Red is a member of the Rasputin family, which is pretty dope. Hulk is also a member of this group, and he's more coherent and conniving than he typically is. I'm curious if he gains multiple personalities and where his character is going to go in the future. Finally, you have the Upper and East Kingdoms set in Africa, ruled by two men named Ra and Khonshu. In this world, Moon Knight is a corporation and are the main enemies of the Black Panther book. Hickman details the world amazingly through the maps and other bits of information he shows through his great graphic design. He's been doing this shit since the Krakoa days, and I pray that he doesn't stop. I've already talked about the Spider-Man book in great detail, so I won't say much. It's a great breath of fresh air for Spider-Man fans given how Marvel just fucks him over at every given turn. And not in a fun way like Daredevil where it leads to a badass story and conclusion. My man is just getting shafted for no good reason. Read Hickman's series whenever possible. It's great. Paige Momoko's X-Men is by far the most different of all the books, mostly because no one you know is in this book. I'm well versed in enough X-Men lore to recognize Armor and Nico Minoru, but it's still a big change. There is no Wolverine, there is no Magneto, and there is no Charles Xavier, at least not yet. There's not even a mansion. It's set entirely in the world of Hinokuni, focusing on Japanese students like Hisako, aka Armor, and May as they form this universe's X-Men. There's not a lot of action, but the story is charming and gripping, and the art is very reminiscent of an early 2000s Shonen Jump manga, and I absolutely adore it. I can't speak on the Black Panther book because I haven't been able to read most of it. I only own issues 3 and 6 since the rest were sold out in every nearby shop. Shout out to the team behind it though, they deserve all the sales. All I can say is that it's interesting to see Storm's role in this book, and I'd like to see where that goes. Finally, there's the Ultimates. As of now, the book is just set up for what could possibly be an event, but it's still really well done. I really like issue number 2, where Captain America is being caught up on the history of America post-World War II. We see Roxxon taking over the Savage Land, the Maker causing JFK's assassination, and my favorite bit, a glimpse at this world's Punisher as he influences a militia group in a modern day. Given the image that we're seeing of Frank Castle, I can only assume it's set sometime during the 80s, but it's unclear as to whether he's a hero or an anti-hero, or he's a straight-up villain. It's clear during the time period that he's meant to be the Vietnam vet as he was back in the day, but I'm only curious as to where he could go from here. He looks really cool, and I'd love to see him in a future book. Overall, I'm excited to see where the future leads for Hickman's Ultimate Universe. I'm excited to see what future storylines we could explore and what future books we could see in this new universe. With that being said, I'm Jay Samra. Goodbye, sayonara, alvida, peace.